I'm an educator by trade. I love what I do, and we love our students as much as we can possibly do so. And we speak the voice into their mind that they're going to be successful and that God has a special plan for their life, and there are no exceptions to the rule. See, we have a crisis, folks. We have a national crisis. And this is what's painful. As a public school educator, 25 years in public school education, 22 years as a principal, there was a real struggle within me because I had to provide a safe and orderly environment at a public school of 1,500 students and 150 faculty members. The problem was, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, I would deal with behaviors of students, everything from possession of weapons to gang activity to threats to bullying kids and all those things. And it was my job to provide a safe and orderly environment, and they had to go, right? And you would agree with that. And the people that moved into the Concord Community School District said, we love this school because you sort out the kids who don't want to be here. The only problem is, what happens to the kids when you don't want them in your building? What happens to the kids when they leave the building? Well, I will tell you, as public school educators, we say that's not our problem. Our problem is in the confines of this building. I'm going to provide a safe and orderly environment. I'm going to make sure we have good test scores, and our kids are learning, and we're teaching with the best strategies. So a good friend of mine who's a sheriff came to me and said, hey, Rob, nice job over there at Concord High School. State basketball champions, state band champions, football team goes to state, great test scores, all kinds of different awards for your school, and the community loves the school and everything. Congratulations. I just have some information for you. I am the sheriff, and I'm in charge of the jail. We have 1,000 beds. We have now 580 of those beds are filled. I'd like for you to come and visit. And by the way, I'm going to call you the assistant chaplain. I said, wait a minute, I've got a full-time job. What's that mean? He goes, nothing. You just have a card, and you can get through all the gates. You can go behind the cells. You can spend time in the day room. I want you to kind of see what's going on down there. I said, fine, great. Sounds like a great thing I can do. So I went down and started hanging out in the county jail. As I'm walking through the gate, and at the old jail, there was actually a glass window. People were banging on the window. Hey, Staley, Class 84, smoking weed on the football field. Hey, Staley over here. Caught me with a handgun in the locker. You remember that drug search? And they started doing their confessing of their sins as I'm walking down the hall. So I dip in, sit down at their aluminum tables where they're playing cards and doing whatever. And I said, what went wrong, guys? Tell me about it. What went wrong? They started to describe to me and articulate the very school that we run today. And I said, I'm going to listen, and we're going to leave here. And this is driving me crazy because there is a holy discontent in my heart that when I send you out of this building, I know you're going to go to jail or you're going to die. You have 8 times greater chance to go to jail when you drop out of school. And the numbers are growing. By the way, folks, 1.3 million people drop out of school every year. And by the time I walked up on that stage and walk over to this side of the stage and walk off again, 432 kids will quit school in the United States. We have a national crisis. You know what that means? We have a problem with the labor force. We have a problem that we don't have consumers. We have a problem that we now have all kinds of social services that we're spending money on. And here's the magical number, about $40,000 to incarcerate a kid a year. Our little saying organization is this: $6,000 to educate, $40,000 to incarcerate. You choose because you will pay either way. 75% of our city budgets and our taxes are going towards managing or overseeing crime. Can you even imagine that? Think of the economics of this whole thing. So let me describe some of our kids. Let me talk about Walker. 14-year-old kid, decides he was going to stay home from school one day, one of my students. Decided he was going to smoke a little weed because that's what my kids do a lot. They like to chill and, escape from their problems in life. And smoked a little weed, decided to go to the mall and kick around a little bit. Got into it with a security officer. Security officer says, hey, punk, you need to get out of here. Walker says, don't you tell me what to do. And he got into it with the kid because he was high and so on. He goes home, gets in his dad's gun's chest, decides to go across the street, line up about, I'd say a quarter of a mile, and decides to open fire on the mall. Shoots 26 times, helicopters flying over, FBI coming in. Here's Walker, open fire on the mall. Shoots out the lights. He's a pretty good shot, quite honestly. Shot the lights out, shot the signs out and everything else. And next thing I know, reading the paper, one of my students just opened fire on the mall. I told my wife, I go, here we go again, one more kid. And then let me take Mark. Mark calls me on the telephone. Hey, Mr. Staley, you expelled me from school for 4 years in a row for drugs. Yes, Mark, I did. He said, listen, I just got out of the county jail. I bailed out. I'm 20 years old. You got to help me, man. You just have to help me. I got 10 felonies. I got handgun charges. I got gang charges. I got everything else. Can you help me? And I said, Mark, let me see what we can do. And then there's Maddie. See, not all of our kids are just bad behavior. She's making bad decisions. But Maddie's situation was her mom said to her one day when she was 14, I don't want you anymore. So we have all those conversations about parents and their voice and that kind of thing. What about parents who just say, I don't want you? I'm not going to love you. So Maddie decides she's going to run away. She's 15 years old. She hops on a bus, pretty intelligent girl, goes to Alabama, goes to Florida, goes to Ohio, circles around, stays with friends, relatives, comes back home, walks into the crossing and says, help me. I want to go to school. So we've gathered all these kids across the state of Indiana, now having 23 campuses, servicing over 7,000 kids in 11 years that come to the door and say, help me, I've lost hope. I have nowhere to go. The public school will not let me back in. I've already been to all the alternative schools. I've been through drug treatment. I've been through all the behavior medical treatments that I can get. I'm taking drugs. I'm ADD. I'm this and I'm that. And they've got a list a mile long. And they're going, what do I do now? And by the way, an interesting statistic, a lot of these kids have never been in trouble in their life. At one time, almost 50% of our students that came to our school said, I can't go there anymore. I'm bullied. And Rima, an Indian girl who's the most beautiful girl you can ever imagine, came in crying into our door and said, I'm not going to go to school and I'm a straight A student. But they keep telling me because I'm wearing a backpack, I've got a fuse that I'm going to blow the school up. And I can't take this any longer. What's Rima do? You know what she's going to do? She's going to graduate and go to medical school. What was she going to do? What are her options in life? So we have to keep role-playing this in our mind. And as we continue to look at this, do you know another statistic is 1 out of 18 kids in our public schools in Indiana do not graduate. 5.6%. By the way, that's not even a true statistic, because here I am as a public school educator and telling you that I know a secret. Here's the secret. So if you're dealing drugs in my school and I'm going to call you in, I have to expel you from school and send you out of my building, I'm going to say something like this now, because this is a new loophole in our data, because we're all worried about data, right? Everything's driven by data. Hey, John, you're a pretty cool kid. You made a bad decision here. Here's the deal. Tell your mom that she can homeschool you. We'll give you a little website you can go to. I may even give you a textbook as you leave. And we're going to call this a transfer to homeschool. You follow my language? You're not a dropout. You're a transfer to homeschool. We have over 20,000 kids in Indiana every year that are transferred to homeschool. This is a living joke. This is a death sentence for our population. And you know what we've done? We've just kind of sorted this all out and said, look, we can't do this anymore. We can't handle this. So these kids who have lost hope, and there's some symptoms out there and some things that we look at. Suicide. What about suicide? Can you imagine? Second highest in the country. Here, 11% of our kids are attempted. By the way, here's the bad news to our story. We have lost 16 students. They have died. 10 of the 16 killed themselves. And the 16th kid that just died was 2 months ago. They found him dead in the field in Fort Wayne. Just 3 months ago, I was driving down through town in Fort Wayne, where we have our largest school in Indiana here with 150 students. I saw this kid out at the pizza place waving this board like this back and forth, come here, buy the pizza, that kind of thing. And he saw me and he went nuts. And he's screaming, yelling, Mr. Staley, Mr. Staley. I pulled in. He runs up to me. He jumps up in my arms and he gives me a hug and he goes, look, dude, I made it. I've got a job. Now, this kid was homeless. He was homeless. And an institution had taken him in and then they put him into a home. And he said, I'm so happy. I think I'm going to make it. That's the kid they found dead in the field. So this is not a fun life. This is a very painful life that we have to deal with on a regular basis that breaks your heart. But we have to mobilize the forces. Poverty. We have about 80% poverty in our school. Direct correlation of all kinds of things, including reading levels and all those things. And then we talked about our dropouts already. So we established a mission saying, look, we got to do something here. So I went home to tell my wife when I was 48 years old, honey, This is going to be really weird, but are you okay with being poor? She said, I don't know, give me the bad news. And I said, this is killing me, and we have got to do something. This is not right. We've got our head in the sand. Somebody's got to do something. So I'm going to go to a salary from $90,000 to zero tomorrow. And I want to make sure that you're going to support this. And she smiled and gave me a hug and said, it's your mission. Chase it. Got a part-time job, made this thing run, and today we're reaping the benefits, and many kids have saved their lives. So that whole mission statement is simply about this, and I'll put it back up there again. We're about taking kids and not throttling down on them and all kinds of different rules and regulations. Matter of fact, we don't even have a handbook. Our handbook is you and me having a conversation because it's one-on-one in every situation in your life, and we're going to empower our struggling kids to become contributing members. They're not going anywhere. They're going to stay right here. They're going to work right here. And we want to do this through education, job training, and faith-based mentoring. Here's our schools. Hey, you know how we do this? I'm a school person. I know school budget. I know school law. I know how schools function. So I go and knock on school the doors of the superintendent's office and say, I got an idea. What if we could provide you with one more tool in your educational tool chest to all those kids who are dropping out and you've expelled that are going to jail and dying, and that we offer that tool, one more tool through the Crossing Educational Center? Will you re-enroll them in your school and pay me just a portion of what you're getting from the state? That's the deal. They end up with a net profit out of the program. We end up with 80% of our funding from public school partnerships. We are not down on public schools, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a public school educator, and I believe in the public schools. Here's some of our data. So in 2014, 65% of the throwaways, the failures, the kids with all the obstacles are now working. Is that cool or what? 65% of these kids are working. 24% are doing something nobody even dreamed of. They're going to college. Are you kidding me? I didn't think. So here's the sad part of the story. Here's what this means to me that means so much more. Our kids say all over the state of Indiana, this shocked me, middle-class white boy. This shocked me. Mr. Staley, why are you doing this? What do you mean, why am I doing this? Do you understand? Do you understand that I am going to die before I'm 18 or go to prison for the rest of my life? What is it about you don't get this? I said, no. Repaint that picture. Stop. Pause. Back up. That is not what's going to happen to you. I will not let you talk like that, and I will not let you think like that, because we are going to love you because God's got a perfect purpose for your life. But guess what? I'm a competitive guy, and I will wear you out. You used to wear me out in the public school. I will wear you out because I'm never going to give up on you. And when you do something stupid, don't look at me and go, do you like me anymore? That's a stupid question. I love you. I love you. I don't care what you do. I love you. And you're special in my mind. And I've hired 150 teachers in Indiana to look at their kids every day and go, this is kind of weird, but I love you. The kids are going like, what? Nobody's ever told me that in my life. You love me? Yes, I love you. Now get your butt busy. Kids are in the military. We graduated 453 kids since 2004. Hey, the key is a teacher, right? Does that surprise anybody? By the way, our teachers take our kids home. Our teachers have kids that stay at their house when they're homeless. Our teachers take their kids to their appointments. Our teachers show up in court every single day they're in court. We will love our kids unconditionally all the time. Can you believe these statistics about gang activity and criminal activity and drugs? You know what it is? I have an identity. I feel good about myself. I've regained hope. Somebody's poured into my life, and I've regained hope. We have academics who are state-accredited school. Our kids get a regular high school diploma. Every single day we circle up the wagons in a living room environment. We pour into the lives of our kids and say, we love you. Let's hear your story. And by the way, here's the key. You are a mess, and so am I. We have something in common. You know what it's called? P-A-I-N, pain. My pain and your pain. We can connect because you're jacked up. And so am I. And so are all my teachers. And I can't hire a teacher that's not jacked up. Isn't that a horrible thing? If you have a prison sentence or you have a felony, you're really hired. It's the most backward model you could ever imagine. And especially if you're African American, you're hired. And as we go into inner city, I've got a prison network inside the prison We have a network now of guys who have a restoration story, and they come out of the network, and we hire them as they come out, because now we're having second chances for guys who've been in the prison, including some of our students. We have the greatest leaders in the state of Indiana. They're just gang leaders. We've got to turn their feet on a different path, and give them a moral compass. So we're building businesses, and I see my red light is flashing, so I'm going to be in trouble here. But here's the last point. The career point is this. Let's not just teach kids a little skill, like you can run a chainsaw, or you can do, let's do something really big. Guess what? Students, everybody thinks you can't do anything, right? They told you that, that's a voice. Here's the deal. We're going to run businesses, and you are the CEO. And you are going to do spreadsheets and QuickBook entries, and you're going to do shipping and receiving, and we're going to run a pallet company. We're going to run a full-scale tree service that's out of this world, stupid, dangerous. But by the way, we like to have dangerous stuff because it makes a heart thump. And as a kid said to me one day, Mr. Staley, you know I love the crossing? Because you make my heart go pump, 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 pump. I used to do that when I robbed 7-Eleven. Now you do it for me. This is pretty cool. Fort Wayne pallet business. Love these kids. They're doing amazing stuff. They're making 7,000 pallets a day inside Master Spa, or Health, was it Master Spa? Thank you. Hot tubs. And they're doing 7,000 of these things and doing just amazing stuff. We have a wood company. We have a wood miser. We cut up logs. We redo furniture. We have building trades going every day. We're putting together garden plantations. And then we have a crazy tree team, and it's all about being in the right color, being a part of a team, and loving each other. How do we get identity? Common color, direct command, command voice, I love you, identity and purpose. How can you help? You know what I think it is? I think it's time for us to mobilize forces, okay? I think you out here, this is probably more about you than it is about anybody else, you out here need to mobilize forces. And we need to get after this, and there's all kinds of different things that you can see there.